Dwyer, who has a solo show at the gallery, and she's here today, and she will explain a little more about how it works. Thank you.
Thanks, Azusa. Margaret Dwyer. I'm here in this wonderful space at Artistry. Happy to share with you my one-person show, Into the Woods, Into the Deep. I've been the Artist-In-Residence at Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller National Historic Park in Woodstock for the past 2 seasons, and am still in the residency, but this is a culmination of my work kind of up until now. I think you'll see that it shows my love for this park, which was very easy to fall in love with this place. I was very inspired by not only the scenes, but the people and the history. So I wanted to show you one of my favorite pieces from the Into the Woods part of the exhibit, which is this painting right here called the Dutchman's Pipe. And the Dutchman's Pipe is a really prolific plant, invasive in fact, that just covers a corner of the porch mansion on the grounds. And it's just a beautiful veil of cascading leaves that in the sunlight looks very much like stained glass to me because of its brilliance. So about midsummer last year, I started working on the front porch and painting outside under this veil of leaves. I have a nice little studio on the campus of the park, but once I started working over here, I started to become really inspired by these leaves, by this tree. I felt like I got to know these things very well, like they were friends. And this inspired an installation that is in the gallery in the next room that we'll be looking at in a little bit. But the Dutchman's Pipe is, I just love it. It's my installation. When you see it, you'll see it's my kind of love song to the park. This is the middle room of the gallery series of 3 rooms, and it's a bit of a transitional room for this particular show where I go from these beautiful idyllic realistic scenes to pure abstract in the next room. So this room kind of encompasses a little bit of realism and a little bit of suggestion of abstraction. A long time ago, when I was a really young artist, I started a series called Beneath the Snow. And every year or 2, I revisit the theme and have done it a different way every single time. I guess it's just the growth of me as an artist and what's influencing the world at that time. But because I was in this residency, I was concentrating on woodland animals, particularly to this area of Vermont and New Hampshire. And so bears and fox and rabbits and deer, they were all part of it. This piece right here is called Spring Bears. And you'll see at the top of it, it's got this nice suggestion of realism, and spring out here is really winter still. So we still have snow on the rocks. But I went below the earth and did some experimental work here to get these impressions that would inspire my next move. And you know, I kind of went into this vortex here and was very interested in putting something alive in there. I wanted people to feel like I do about what's going on under the earth. I mean, we kind of know, but I'm sure there's a lot of surprises and just an artist's take on what that might be. Something mysterious, maybe a lot more colorful in that world. It's partly out of my head and, you know, partly referring to some realism. This one's called Hidden Worlds, and it's somewhat of a playful piece. But again, we've got a suggested realism up there, and the fox is looking for something, and these rabbits are safe and sound underneath in their hidden world. I deliberately didn't put an entry down here because I wanted the rabbits to feel safe. So these are really fun to do, and I've done some other seasons as well, but these 2 are nice because they have some snow in them. So those those are my fun animal pictures that have a little bit of abstraction too. Now we go into the deep. And this part of the exhibit reflects the period from when we really got hit hard with the COVID in March. I had applied for the second residency. I had learned I had gotten it. I was working on park-themed works through the winter in my studio. And suddenly we were hit with this unprecedented situation, and I find myself back then unable to focus or concentrate. Anything idyllic in any way, shape, or form seemed to kind of vanish or, be put aside for the time being. And I let myself fall into some abstract work, mostly as a kind of psychological emptying of my head and my emotions. I was full of anxiety. I was trying to figure out, scrambling what to do about money and work, and everything just stopped, and I had all that anxiety and worry. And I just couldn't concentrate, as I said, so I let myself fall into these abstracts. This one is actually called Into the Deep. Over there, it was the first one I did in March, and it is very much like a sea creature almost, very watery looking. And these went really fast and easy because I wasn't using a reference. Nothing had to really have a likeness to anything. I didn't plan them. I didn't draw anything ahead of time. I just experimented and I painted. And one of my favorite pieces is this one over here. And I think the title continues to tell the story of where my head was at. This is called Inner Circus. And this is on an oversized piece of watercolor paper. I love that it's big. Very unplanned, and lots of different sections to look at. I think subconsciously in my head when I was working on these, the language of the COVID was getting into my brain, like just pods. We talked about pods a lot. And I felt like this felt like that, mother groups breaking into smaller pods that were our safe bubble. And amidst all this, some of these can be kind of creepy or a little scary, but a lot of them have a lot of joy and hope and brightness in them. I think during the COVID, it was important to, some good things came out of it, and I wanted to, not miss the opportunity to bring out that beauty. And by that, I mean, for me personally, some friendships deepened through this time. Sure learned what was important with people and family, and I tried to hold on to the fact that that was all good. I'm just trying to stay alive. There's a painting here called Alive. There's some interesting provocative titles that reference the COVID, Curiouser and Curiouser, or Uncontainable, Inner Circles. So there's a lot of reference of that. So the other thing I've got here is these books. And I started to make books a couple years ago. Every paper is punched and hand bound. But what's cool about these is there's original watercolor paintings on the front and the back. Very heavy covers, they're all reinforced, and there's some heavyweight blank paper inside for sketching or journaling. And there's quite a few of these here in the gallery. So if you're interested in obtaining some original work without necessarily having it be a painting, these are great. And lastly, I want to show you my installation of the Dutchmans Pipe that I referenced in the first room. This is my love letter to the park. These are the Dutchman Pipe watercolor leaves that I've been working on for 2 seasons. There's, I probably made over 100 of these leaves. They're all here in the gallery. And each one of these is on nice heavyweight watercolor paper. There's some really neat details. If you come closer, you'll see some of them have these water drops, and They're all very colorful. It feels a little bit like a kid's birthday party, but I mean that in a fun way. This gave me a chance to use all these great colors. I introduced some metallic watercolor in many of them, and that's kind of a neat feature. But I love this installation. I was picturing it in my head for a long time, and it felt good to execute it. So this is the Dutchmans Pipe. So thanks for viewing the virtual tour of the exhibit. There's some really fun paintings in here to look at individually, and they will be a part of this video. I hope you can come in person if at all possible. We're very safe here, limiting the amount of people in the gallery at once. Everyone wears a mask. And this is a really fun show to wander through because it's completely diverse. But I want to thank Artistry. I want to thank the National Park and everyone else who helped me get this exhibit together, some good personal friends too. So signing off, and come and see me at the park. I'm still there through October, and the show is up through September 26th. Thanks a lot, everybody.